Page 8, hailstones. At the top of the page, they're giving you another musical symbol you need to know from now on, and it's that little dot. It can be above the note or below the note. It's not important. Point is, it's a dot. It's called a staccato or staccato sign. Now we're getting into what's known as articulation. I talked about it in the previous video because I considered a fermata part of articulation and I added in there. Well, now we're getting more articulation signs. Articulation is how you express the note, how you play it. You don't just play it loud or soft or whatever. There's other things we can do with it. And with staccato, it simply means you disconnect the notes. Well, if they're repeated notes, like in the previous video we had that, you have to disconnect them. They're repeated notes. Any repeated note on piano, you got to disconnect it. I mean, there is a way to connect them. We'll talk about that later. But right now, we don't connect them. We have to lift up to play it again. So there's a little bit of silence. Well, in piano playing, or in any music for that matter, you have two flavors, two things to choose from. You either connect the notes or you don't connect the notes. That's it. That's your choices. Take it or leave it. That's it. If I connect the notes, let's just take us here from C position. If I just played all the notes here, I can connect those notes. One note ends after, or when another note starts. There's no silence in between them. Okay. Or I can disconnect the notes and put a little silence between each one. That's staccato. Now there's different flavors of staccato, and this is just great. You can have really short staccatos, or you can have longer staccatos. See, if it's disconnected, it's staccato. But it doesn't tell you how short to make it. That's interpretation. Well, there is a symbol that can help you out. When they really want long staccatos, there is a symbol they can give you for that. But most of the time, all they give you is a dot, and you have to figure out, how long do I want the staccato? For now, we're going to make them all short staccatos. And there's various techniques for playing staccatos, and we'll talk about those too. Now, again, when I learn a new piece of music, I have a particular process I go through to learn it. And that's the process I'm using in these videos. And one of the steps I do in that process is I add the articulation. But when I first started, I connect everything. So I go through the process. This thing is 3 lines long. I get an idea of how long and how big it is, whatever. Just an idea. I don't need to be exact. There's treble and bass clefs. You have to check the clef size because there's not always going to be a treble and bass clef there. You check them. There are no sharps or flats in the key signature, so we're in the key of C major. You always want to know what key you're in. It kind of helps, huh? And 4/4 time signature here. We got quarter notes. That's all I see is quarter notes and rests. Okay. Most of the time, the hands are playing one at a time, so I'm going to kind of take both hands together to shorten the video. But you're welcome to do it one hand at a time at first if you want. So we're starting out with left hand here and right hand here. So we're in middle C position again. But it looks like we may move around a little. We'll get there. So at the beginning, as I said, I connect everything for now. And here, these two are together. Rest, rest, and I recommend in the right hand you just reach up, use this as your anchor, and just reach up and play that. Stay spread out. Don't relax. Stay, because you got to come back down here for the second line. Now, different people will do that differently, so I'll just explain that too. This is the last 2 measures of the first line. You're here. Some people, during the rest in the right hand, because you got a whole measure rest, sometime during the rest, they'll simply move the hand up. So they stay in a nice, relaxed position. So when it comes, they play it. And then they have 2 beats of rest to come back down, to go on. That's fine. That's one way of doing it. I like to feel my way around the keyboard, and I like to be able to play things without looking at the keyboard if I can. It sure comes in handy in a lot of cases. And so I feel this distance from letter to letter. When it's the same letter, E to E, F to F, G to G, A to... I feel what that is. I get used to that. And here, I can use the thumb as the anchor, and I can just reach up, and I don't have to look at the keyboard to find the note. I can reach up and feel it. And because I'm coming back down afterward, I leave my hand here. Now, if I were playing these notes and I didn't have any more notes down here, then once I start playing it, then I can relax the hand. So it depends on what the music needs as to what I'm doing. And that's what I'm suggesting here. To get used to the keyboard, in order to do that, reach up and play it and stay there. And that way, after you're done, you come back down where you were. And you don't have to, eventually you don't have to look at the keyboard. You may have to look at it first until you get an idea of what that distance feels like. And basically that's the piece. Now, once I have the notes and the rhythms worked out, I get rid of the hesitations, no hesitations. Then I add the articulation. See, before I would say, okay, now we do the interpretation. Well, that's because we didn't have articulation. So we move our interpretation back a little. Now I insert this. Next, we do articulation. I see the staccatos. I'm going to play short staccatos. And the first technique we're going to learn for doing staccatos is called a wrist or hand movement. It depends on what country you're from. In the United States here, we call it the wrist. A wrist, you flex at the wrist. In England and some countries, they call it a hand because the hand is the thing doing the job or whatever. I don't care what you call it, as long as you understand what it's called, because you may be talking to somebody or reading about it and you'd like to understand what you're reading. Yeah, it could be called either one. I'm on the keys here, and I'm just I play it and bounce off. Boom, boom, and then I go back on the key before I do it again. Boom, boom, boom. Here. Now, if you're going quickly, you don't have time to put your hand on the key before you play it. You're doing this, but it's a small motion. Don't hit the keys from way up here. Bum, 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 bum. It's a small motion. Quickly, bum, bum, bum. It's bum, bum, bum. It's a real small motion, but they're still short. So I can put the hands on the keys for the first measure because I got rest. For the second measure, I don't really have time to put my hands on the keys before I play the next note. So it's a real short, small motion on that. Depends on how fast you go. And that's staccato. That's the articulation. Now we'll add the interpretation. Again, the natural accents. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. You feel it. I'm exaggerating it so you can hear it better, but you just want to feel it. It's very slight, but it's there. As far as how fast you go, it's up to you on your hailstones and what's going on there. Somewhere like that. And that last line, the last 2 measures, when you reach down in the left hand, you can collapse if you want because there are no more notes up above here. Once you play it, you're staying down here. So you can relax. That's fine. And the movement is the same for the left hand on reaching down. I use that as the anchor. I reach down as I did for the right hand. Same movement. However, you got rest. If you'd like to just move down, you're welcome to do that too. You have to look down at the keyboard to do that. I'm trying to get it to where you don't have to look down at the keyboard eventually once you get used to these distances. Let's play this together very slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. I'll do the staccatos and the whole bit just like it's written, so I'll give us 4 counts. Now we're going to go so slow here. You do have the time to put your fingers on the keys each time before you play the next one. Boom, 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 like so. So do the boom booms right. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Rest, rest, rest. Rest, rest, rest. Rest,